Today officially marks the return of the 100mph Traxxas Slash Project. This RC has been pretty much MIA for the better part of a year and a half. And I think the main reason I lost interest in it was because the last 2 or 3 times I ran it, they ended in pretty catastrophic crashes that broke a lot of parts. And I was just tired of it. No! But you know what, I've had a lot of people in the comments, probably dozens upon dozens of comments of people encouraging me to bring back the 100mph Traxxas Slash Project, and that day has finally come. So I think I know at this point some of the things that I have to change in order to reach 100 miles per hour. So what we're going to do is I'm going to bring the camera a little bit closer. We're going to take a look at the car in its current state, and I'm going to do a couple installs of things that I think need to be changed if we're going to reach that 100 mile per hour goal. Alrighty guys, so taking the body off, this is actually the Proline Supersonic body. I think probably last, I don't even know, 3 or 4 runs, maybe more than that, I've been running this body, and it is pretty darn beaten up. The front's cracked. I've taped up a lot of spots. You can see I taped up over here. The back is broken up. It is just not in good shape. But you know what, I might still continue trying to use this body. The main reason is because I have got this aero kit, and this aero kit is actually made specifically for the supersonic body. So even though I want to swap back over to a Traxxas Slash body, a Traxxas Slash body is not going to work well with this aero kit. So I'd have to ditch this aero kit altogether. And this aero kit's still not in good shape. You know, looking at the front, you can see I've glued this splitter back together multiple times with Gorilla Glue because the splitter breaks. It's just 3D printed plastic. The rear broke, so the rear part of this, I guess this would be the diffuser. This part broke off. I don't even know where this piece went. It is in pretty bad shape. If you're not familiar with the wheels and tires, I've been running these wheels and tires the last few times. These are they're the Schumacher Revlite wheels with the GT8 contact foams, and I actually have no complaint with these foams because these foams are actually really good. I have really good grip running these foams, so we're going to continue to run these foam tires. The issue was not with grip or spinning out or losing traction in the last few videos. The issue was air getting up underneath the car and lifting it up and flipping it over. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention. Last video, the big crash that I showed you earlier in this video, we bent the shock shafts. So this is actually a Traxxas Slash 4x4 Ultimate. So it has got the GTR shocks on the front and the back. I ended up taking them off after that video because both of the shock shafts were pretty severely bent where the shocks would no longer compress. So I switched over to some Ultra shocks I had laying around. And I actually might leave these on rather than repairing the GTR shocks because I can just add spring spacers to them. And when you add spring spacers, it makes the shocks a lot stiffer because it puts a lot more preload on those springs. And that's a lot easier to do than using the GTR shocks, which have the collars that you have to screw down. So I might just leave these Ultra shocks on because they're actually way stiffer in this format like this than the GTR shocks ever were. Let's see. Oh, also I think the last video I broke both of the rear drive shafts. I just put some plastic ones on. We'll see. I might actually have to go buy some new steel ones because I don't know how well these plastic ones are going to hold up. Even though I'm not really hard on the throttle during these speed runs, I really try to roll onto the throttle. These still might not hold up under 6S power because we run this thing on 6S. So that leads to the next thing. If you're not familiar with the system, this is a Spectrum Firma 150 amp ESC. Spectrum is pretty much Horizon Hobby, and Horizon Hobby throws this in a lot of the ARMA ready-to-run vehicles. They're 6S vehicles like the Typhon. I think this comes in probably the Creightons. Comes in a lot of the 6S machines. And this right here is a 2200 kV axial motor. This actually came in the ready-to-run Axial Yeti XL, which is now discontinued. But this is a good motor. And gearing, I believe that's a 34? I think it's a 34-tooth pinion. I think I'm still running a 54-tooth spur gear. But I did figure out at the end of the last video, this thing didn't drive anymore. And we actually destroyed the center diff. So the actual housing of the center diff broke apart. So we have to replace that. And I thought rather than going and buying a whole nother center diff for, 60, 70 bucks, I actually decided to just go with the slipper clutch. So I went with this right here. This is an Integy slipper clutch. I was thinking about going with a slipper clutch eliminator and just get rid of it altogether, but I kind of want to save my drive shaft, so I might just tighten this nut down quite a bit and maybe just, you know, turn it maybe a quarter turn, just so there's a little bit of give in this slipper. But I don't want it to spin like crazy and wear down the slipper pads. So that's one of the installs we're doing in this video, is we're swapping out the center diff for a slipper clutch that is going to be tightened most of the way down. The other thing I want to do is, when I go back and look at that video of what happened with that big crash, the issue is the rear is squatting. So when I give it power, the rear is squatting down and the front is lifting up. So rear squatting down, front lifting up, and as you build up more and more speed, that air just catches this front lip spoiler, or the splitter, and it just makes the RC flip. You know, just too much air gets underneath of it, it goes airborne. So what we really have to do is we have to stiffen up these rear shocks. I think that's a main key. And also, I want to get in a little bit more rake. I want a little bit more rake, downward rake from rear to the front. So the front is pointing nose down a little bit. But I don't want the front to be any lower than this, because this splitter could still hit the ground. It could hit the pavement, and that'll definitely break this 3D printed splitter, which is no good. So the other idea I came up with was actually using, this is actually some gas line that I had laying around, and my plan is actually to take off the bottom of the shocks, unscrew it, and cut a bit of this and put this on the shock shaft. I'm thinking that diameter, that inner diameter, will fit on these shock shafts, at least on the Ultra shocks, and that'll really limit. So I'll cut it a little bit shorter so the thing will have a little bit of travel, but I don't want it to have very much travel at all. I just want the thing to be able to, you know, have a little bit of suspension travel, but not very much. I don't want it to be able to go all the way down and bottom out like that. I don't like that. That's not even bottomed out. That's just a chassis bottomed out right there. So we're bottomed out on the rear chassis. So I really want to put this tubing in. I don't know if this is a good idea, but I just thought about it in my head, and I think it should work. And I think we're just going to do that on the rear. So I think that's what I'm going to do next. I might actually time-lapse this rather than make a boring, you know, step-by-step tutorial. I'm going to go ahead, time-lapse me taking apart the rear, installing the slipper clutch, as well as putting this gas line tube on the shock shafts so it'll limit that suspension travel. So let's jump right in this montage. Alrighty guys, I am finally finished. I stripped out a couple screws, so that's what took so long, but fortunately you were just watching on a time lapse. But as you can see, I've got the gas line tubing in there, so it is really limited the amount of travel. It does not have very much at all, about that much travel. So let me know what you think. Obviously the front still has full travel, which still seems a little soft, but these collars are all the way down, so otherwise I would need stiffer springs, or I could switch to the Ultra shocks and make it a lot easier, because I might actually put another spring spacer on these rear ones as well. But yeah, that really limits how much that rear can go down. Not very much at all. Let me know if you think this is a good or bad idea. We'll probably give it a shot. I don't know when my next speed run will be, considering it is the start of winter. So if I can find a nice day where the pavement's dry, I might try it. Also take a look. This is what happened last video with the center diff. It's just a plastic housing. Completely broke the housing and spit out the gear. But yeah, so if you guys did enjoy this video and like the fact that the 100mph Traxxas Slash Project has returned, go ahead, hit that like button, make sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and stay tuned for future videos. Later!